may or may not have heard the story of how Neversoft approached Tony Hawk in the late 90s with an early demo of a skateboarding game starring radical demon hunter Bruce Willis skating around the world of Apocalypse. Of course, that game went on to become Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, which is still as relevant as ever more than 20 years later, while Apocalypse, starring Bruce Willis on the PlayStation 1, is an almost forgotten little piece of history. But why is that, and what is its relevance to Pro Skater? Before the extreme sport success dropped in 1999, Neversoft released a gritty sci-fi action game starring the popular Hollywood hero that would later go on to be recycled as the foundation for Pro Skater among other Neversoft titles at the time, which is why we see Apocalypse Bruce Willis in early images of the skateboarding prototype. So when you really think about it, without this game, we may have never seen some of the most beloved, best-selling games of all time. And if that's the case, then why does nobody ever talk about this one? That's the part I'm scared to find out. Wow, take a look at this ancient Neversoft logo. This really is a relic from a long time ago. The game opens with some mental FMV sequences that show us all of the cool stuff we're about to experience, and it's actually not half bad for the time. Neversoft were implementing motion capture technology way back in '97, which was mostly unheard of for the time. But the real question here is Bruce's involvement. Initially pitched as a buddy co-op game with Willis as your computer-operated partner, it didn't make a lot of sense to have the multi-million-dollar contracted Hollywood star in anything other than the main role, so the entire project shifted direction. And honestly, that is why we're here, right? As this game was clearly being sold on his star power alone. We also get a quick look at our villain, known as the Priest, who is resurrecting the four horsemen of Apocalypse: Death, Plague, War, and the Beast on a mission to destroy civilization. Death, Plague, War. And here I was thinking 2020 couldn't get any worse, but now you're telling me there's a beast we need to worry about? Also, what happened to Famine, the actual fourth horseman of Apocalypse? I guess we won't be seeing them until 2021. Willis here is apparently the only person who can stop the Priest, so it only makes sense that he's locked up and sentenced to death. But of course, we're out of that predicament lickety-split and into the first level. The game is a twin-stick shooter, so grab out your DualShock, unless you like getting bullied, and run and gun your way through the stage. This introduction is badass. High adrenaline gun combat blasting and blowing the ever-living bejesus out of everything in sight, making our way through the prison facility. We've got a large variety of weapons, from lasers, flamethrowers, grenades, targeting rockets, and the faithful default machine gun. The visuals are dark and gritty, and the soundtrack bops with a lot of energy. At the end of the level, we take out this giant war tank like a Terminator as everything explodes and it's on to the next stage. Fucking radical. It's crazy to think that what we're looking at right here turned into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. What's not crazy, however, is the resemblance in a lot of ways to Neversoft's Spider-Man games. They also had very dark, very grungy atmospheres, and the soundtracks also share the same high-tempo, sci-fi metal styles, though Apocalypse is far more generic, but the soundtrack still serves its purpose. I can tell you what Spider-Man didn't have though: System of a Down.
God wants you to go to war!
Oh my god, that's so fucking awesome! What better soundtrack for a riot in the streets? Wait, what? It's over already? Yeah, the music just suddenly stops after 20 seconds. Why? Why can't it just play? Do I really have to stand here and watch the entire music video just to listen to this song? Also, that's kind of weird, right? What kind of cyber future is this where System of a Down is projected onto buildings? Also, just have a listen to what the Riot Squad shout during this level.
Go for the headshot! Forget his rights, just shoot him!
You know, I was joking when I called this a 2020 simulator. Didn't expect it to actually pay off like that. The first boss is Death, and there is no strategy. You just shoot him until he dies, which is pretty weak for Death if you ask me. And then it's back into more action. As fun as this game is mindless, it is far from perfect, unfortunately. As you might expect, Bruce doesn't shut his face, dropping cheesy one-liners the entire game.
Open up a can of whoop-ass! Can't you pull the trigger any faster? Lock and load. Hose them down. Strap one on, it's time to jam.
If there is one discussion people do still have about Apocalypse, it's the voice acting. It's very ham-fisted and overly dramatic in delivery, which does make sense given this was supposed to be banter between partners.
Are we having fun yet? Come get some!
The problem is that once the project shifted to star Bruce as the solo protagonist, they failed to record any new dialogue, so everything he says comes across like random noises on a soundboard.
Ooh, that felt great.
And the result of this is that level cutscenes offer next to no explanation of what is supposed to be happening with this narrative. Seriously, it's like a fever dream, and that's only the beginning of our problems here. Some of these camera angles are just a nightmare. It gives you awkward views so you can't see where you're going. Other times, it's hard to even see the bastard on screen and distinguish the fucking spec from any of this other garbage. And trying to platform amongst this, good luck. It's not too often, but there are areas of the game that feature heavy jumping sections. What is this? Sunset Vista in Crash Bandicoot? And these parts of the game are plagued by this balked camera and even the frame rate most of the time. Apocalypse is just too much awesome for the PlayStation to handle, as if not having any good depth perception to make some of these jumps wasn't challenging enough. Speaking of Plague, however, she's the next boss. Portrayed by Poe, the singer, this fight is a lot better with some actual patterns to learn, but oh my god, just listen to that music! This absolutely kicks ass! What a banger tune for slaying unholy demons to! Honestly, it's the moments like this that make me sad this game isn't more well known. But I guess throwing money at movie stars and musicians crippled the budget for actual game design, given how much this lacks polish. All that said though, it still manages to remain fun, and for me, that's the most important thing. Enemies are obliterated to pieces, everything in the level gets destroyed, and getting to climb all over the place shooting shit and getting shit shot at you is just simply a lot of fun. It's like an arcade game, different from Die Hard Arcade of course, but even with its problems, still shits all over Fifth Element on PlayStation. Every level from the sewers, war factories and city streets are all overflowing with crazy moments as hell is literally breaking through the surface of this world. But then you reach this fucking part where you're being gunned down by a helicopter on a collapsing footbridge. Common sense is to run away, maybe occasionally stopping to shoot at this thing, but thankfully with the twin stick control, you can both run and shoot simultaneously. But if you somehow make it to the end of this bridge without killing this thing, you'll find yourself completely prone to infinite bullet rain and get killed. What is that about? You'd think the real boss fight would take place here, but no, you just die over and over again, and there is no way to avoid it. And what's worse is that you get a checkpoint as soon as you reach this part. So, you're basically trapped in an endless death loop until you burn through all of your spare lives and get a game over. What a beginner's trap! Real dickhead move, Neversoft. Why not just go all the way and corrupt my save file while you're at it?
Hey, I'm not getting paid enough to do this crap.
I bet you that line wasn't even in the script. They were just recording Bruce on his lunch break or something, and he said that, and they decided to keep it in the game. Also, you got paid millions of dollars for this. The fuck you complaining about, Bruce? Now it's time to face War, who is slightly indestructible at first. Minor problem. Until he grows huge and starts chasing you through the city. It's another simple fight, but it's great to see all of the bosses do have some variety, and it's thematically awesome. This really is third-person Doom in that sense, but now we're moving into the final level, the White House, and we've only been playing for maybe 2 hours max at this point. It's an incredibly short game. This level is a monumental pain in the ass, as we have to climb the building on these tiny ledges with the camera being a massive problem and strong enemies constantly in our way. And as if that weren't enough of a predicament, imagine the frustration when you accidentally pick up the grenades. Yeah, good luck trying to hit anyone with those fucking things while you get mercilessly destroyed. You just have to stand there and waste them all so you can get the regular gun back. That's the only way to do it without a real inventory system. And I just love this falling through the floor thing. It really sums up my deep passion for this stage. Of course we get inside and the fun continues with some of the most difficult enemies and worst frame rates I think I've ever seen, as shit just blows up all around you. It's so bad, your inputs get delayed, which makes the already finicky platforming next to impossible. And yet despite that, I still can't get enough of it. What is it about this game that is so irresistibly fun despite being repetitive as hell, trapping you into death loops, sucking at coherent storytelling, and refusing to play System of a Down while I hop my way through this shit at 10 frames per second? Despite all of that, this might be one of the most fun games I've played all year. I honestly can't figure that one out. Unless Willie actually was worth the millions of dollars after all. No, he definitely was not. Finally, it's time to face the Beast in a very epic multiple-part boss battle where we just shoot, shoot, and shoot while the White House turns into hell and everything is destroyed around us. The frame rate on this boss. Holy shitballs. That's how you know this is a bloody epic encounter. It's so epic, I think my PlayStation is starting to overload. Ow! Through the bad camera, technical issues, and constant monotony of Apocalypse, I can say without question that this game is not good. It's got a lot of action and some decent presentation, but it lacks any real character. It's clear that big name talent was a budget priority above making this game actually run well, which is where it suffers most. And what a shame, because Bruce Willis adds nothing to this experience. Anybody, a fucking Muppet, could have portrayed this character for a fraction of the price so that maybe there might have been some budget left over to actually polish this turd into something decent. As for the story, I don't even know what to say. In the beginning, we saw the priest raising 4 Doom servants, yet the priest turned out to be one of them, which, in my opinion, says a lot about the shoddy production cycle of this game. However, I would still absolutely recommend that you give it a go. Even beyond the novelty of this being the foundation for Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Neversoft Spider-Man, it still manages to offer a lot of dumb, stupid fun for a couple of hours through all of its major missteps. And given the game is incredibly common, I suggest you pick up a copy the next time you see one. Apocalypse starring Bruce Willis gets 5 out of 10. It might be overkill to consider this a hidden gem for the system, but hey, if I had this much fun despite all of its problems, then that surely speaks volume on the entertainment factor this game brings to the table. At the end of the day, this curious little piece of history will always be nothing more than that. But even though there are much better games out there, Apocalypse and Neversoft still deserve their credit, because if it wasn't for this game, then there is a strong chance that maybe all these years later, we would not be excited about an upcoming Pro Skater remake. So, on that note, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. I'm Square-Eyed Jack, and I hope you have a great fucking day. Thanks for watching.